Hey there, your government doesn't want you to see this. Today I'm going to be telling you 5 things that the government does not want you to know. No matter where in the world you are, no matter who you are, no matter where you are watching this video on, be it phone, be it a tablet, be it a computer, I'm going to be spinning some game for you, telling you the things that your government does not want you to understand or know. The very first one, and please, I don't want you guys to get lost. This is straight hard facts that most people will never ever tell you. First, it's the history of banking, and we need to explain. That's the first thing, the history of banking that you will never ever know. So, one day, what happened was that people used to have gold, but they decided to start storing it in vaults, and naturally, those were the jewelers. So the jewelers were the first bankers because they were the ones who had the vault to store gold. And so, slowly but surely, over time, instead of just storing gold, they would store the gold and print a receipt. But they realized that only 1 in 10 people would come and collect their gold with their receipt. So those receipts started being traded, and that was the very first form of currency. So what happened was that the bankers, these jewelry shops, or these jewelers, stored the gold and gave a receipt. So you would bring 10 ounces of gold and you'd get 10 receipts, each receipt for an ounce of gold. Those receipts would then count for an ounce, and you could buy 1 chicken for an ounce, you could buy maybe half a house for an ounce, or 2 cows for an ounce. But then slowly these jewelers started to realize, oh, only 10% of people come. So if they had a depositor of 1 ounce, they would print notes of 10 ounces. And then what they do is they give them out as loans, charge interest on them, and over time, basically take the money. So the very first thing that the government does not want you to understand is the history behind banking and central banking. Now, it's a famous thing that there was a certain date, a certain king, please correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe it was King Philip in the 1900s, who decided to give the ability to create money through loans away from the government and actually in the hands of the commercial banks. And the way they do it is through loans, by understanding that a certain percentage of the depositors are going to come collect their money, and they charge an interest on money that they create out of thin air because they control the electronic system. Beep, beep. So that's the very first thing, the history of banking. The second thing the government want you to, or don't want you to understand, is that school is actually an indoctrination camp. There was a famous video of Fauci that was released, and I've said this in other videos, that he was saying if you make it hard for people to access universities, access schools, access restaurants, meet their friends, go to the office, then it's easy to manipulate them into complying and wearing masks, sanitizing, getting their COVID vaccines, because you've made it hard for them to be involved in life. So when it comes to school is actually one of the biggest indoctrination camps. It's the second thing the government don't want you to know, because you have to have a school if you want to get a job, if you want to earn money, support your family, and earn money so that you can live. So that's how they indoctrinate you. So that's, I would say, the second thing, that school's an indoctrination camp and that you're forced. The third one, above and beyond the fact that you're forced to be at school, is the fact that there are political narratives being shoved in. So if I'm in South Africa and I can speak about one subject, I remember I love to talk about school. I remember when I was in the 10th grade and we were writing these life orientation life orientation interview examinations. Now, everybody understands, yes, you have English, maybe you have maths or science, a language like Spanish, or in our case, Afrikaans, but it is a little lesser or little known fact that the government is indoctrinating the populace through life orientation. So that is then pushing political narratives, for example, supporting LGBT, for better or worse, or, for example, being against Israel, or any of these political movements or political ideologies. The LGBT one is definitely one that was at least pushed, and certain figures or certain topics that they want to know, like maybe there might be a soccer player or whatever, it doesn't matter. Soccer players, dream and how he pursued soccer. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be political or not, but there's a narrative that they're trying to push, a certain distraction. So that would be the third one, that the government are involving themselves and trying to distract the populace. Now, the fourth one is really, really interesting, that the government don't want you to know. The government don't want you to know that money is barring you from freedom. Think about it. I want you to sit there right now and imagine you had $100,000 like this, cash, and then you were earning 100,000 every single day. $100,000 a day. That's millions of rands if you live in South Africa. Now think, where would you go? What would you do? Would you still be working in your job? If you're in school, would you still be learning in school? What would you start doing? Would you play golf? Would you travel the world? I can tell you, for me, I would travel the world. I would eat in Michelin-star restaurants. So imagine a delicious burger, not at McDonald's or at some cheap place, but actually at some fantastic 6-star restaurant. That is exactly what I would love. So if I had a lot of money, immediately I'd change my location. Immediately I'd stop working or stop doing school or stop with a whole lot of these things that I'm trying to do with the end goal of perhaps earning money. So the fourth thing the government don't want you to know is that money is your freedom. And this leads on to my fifth one. Fourth, the government don't want you to know that money is your freedom. The fifth thing that the government don't want you to know is that they have made it as hard as possible for you to make money. What they do is they lay out a plan. They lay out a gauntlet, if you want to call it that, or a path of life. First, we start with getting all of the children, all the populace, or at least most of them, into school. We indoctrinate them for 12 years. And slowly but surely, as they get older, grade 10, 11, 12, from the age of maybe 13 to 18, we indoctrinate them with our political narratives through, in my case, life orientation. From there, they want you to be convinced that you need to get into university. From university, now most people who can't afford it would have to take a loan. To come back to step number one, the history of banking. This is why I mentioned this first. What banks do is they go on the electronic system and create numbers and put it in. Obviously, there's a certain percentage of the deposit that they have to keep, but the rest is electronic money that they're allowed to create as loans. So what they do is they create university loans, or when people buy cars, houses, anything that they pay off every single month. And what the bank does, they'll charge interest. Once they get paid back, they literally delete the principal amount of the loan. This is a bit complicated. I'm sorry if it's a bit complicated. Even for me, it's complicated. They delete the principal and they keep the interest as profit. So what they want to do is the government will partner with the bank in a way that the bank provides the loan, and the government then purport that it's a good idea to be part of a university. From the university, you get a job. How much are you ever going to earn in a job? Maybe $10,000 if you're lucky. How can you afford a supercar that's $1 million? Or not? Yeah, let's say there's a supercar that's even $100,000. That's literally 10 times your monthly salary of $10,000. And we're saying you earn high. Very, very high. So that's 10 months, and I'm saying you have to save every single penny of that $10,000. So then the point is they get you into university, so you get a normal low-paying job. So you work till the age of 65, and then you get a pension fund. And once you're at 65, you're forced to leave your job and you can't work anymore. So once you as a human resource have been used till the age of 65, you finished, you're done, you're dead, you're no longer allowed to work. Basically, you get fired. And then you basically left with a tiny pension fund, and sometimes those pension funds get stolen. I was speaking to a guy many months ago, 2 years ago, named, let's call him Mr. B, or let's call him Ben. So what Ben would do is he was studying to be an actuary, and he told me that he was working out there was an issue with an insurance company, with the amount of money that they were supposed to have to pay out all their claims, and they had much less. And there was something to do with a pension fund, or a hedge fund, and he said that hedge fund had money that was taken and stolen from it. So imagine you work for 65 years of your life with a very, very minimal salary. Even at a high level, you can't even get a supercar or live in a nice place or anything like that unless you really save every last penny. And then once you get to that point, your pension fund could even be stolen, and that's basically your financial security for the rest of your life. So those are the 5 ways and the 5 things the government does not want you to know. If you're living anywhere in the world, I've made it in relation to South Africa, but this is crucial information. And if no one else is saying it and putting it into useful bite-sized 5 things, well, then I'm the one who's going to have to do it. And at the end of the day, this belt is a nice belt. This shirt is a nice shirt. This face is, I hope, nice. But anyway, I want to wish you guys well. Use these 5 pieces of information you just learned to your advantage, and don't get screwed over by the system designed to... Exactly.